Archie Shepp is an American jazz saxophonist and is regarded as being a key figure in the avant-garde jazz world. His career started in 1960 and is still going, and he has a typically large discography, which jazz musicians tend to. Hi, my name's Dan. This album was Archie Shepp's third album, and it's my first encounter with him. It's certainly my first time listening to this album. I gather this was a particularly important breakthrough album for him in the stuff that I read, in that this got him, this was recorded with a major label and his previous ones possibly weren't so much, and got him quite a bit of exposure. And it's reinterpretation of John Coltrane tracks, which hence the title of the album, for Trane. John Coltrane's nickname was Trane. So the first four tracks are reworkings of pieces by John Coltrane, and the last one is one of his own compositions, which is called Rufus, brackets, swung his face at last to the wind when his neck snapped, brackets, which is obviously, a highly entertaining piece of music. What we've got here is an upright bass and drums and various brass instruments. There's a flugelhorn, which I thought was a trumpet, and I don't know if I could tell you the difference by listening to them. There's two saxes going on a trombone, I've seen descriptions of this as avant-garde jazz. I'm going to slightly disagree. Not that I'm a jazz expert, so if you're a jazz expert, then please excuse me disagreeing with the mainstream opinions of this. I'm going to call it not avant-garde, but half-avant-garde, because I think it's kind of not totally avant-garde. I think there's quite a bit of standard jazz things going on here, so let's pick those out. Particularly, there's the habit of what I call bookending, which is where you're playing a jazz piece, and you start by playing a recognizable tune or configuration of stuff that is something that's been written. You then spend the time doing improvisation, and if you're in a more standard kind of jazz area, then you'll have a repeated set of chords which you're improvising over, which are the same chords that will be backing the tune. And then at the end, you finish off by doing that written piece again. So this does that. But the John Coltrane tracks are fairly unusual even when you get to the written stuff, but they're still obviously coordinated music. It's a little bit stop-start, so I don't actually know these tracks from John Coltrane, so I don't know if that's how they're like in the original or if these are reinterpretations even in this bit. Then the in-between bit, which is the kind of the more free-for-all part, the rhythm section generally just plugs away doing recognizable jazz stuff, which is basically jazz drumming, and jazz drumming is recognizable mostly because they use the ride cymbal an awful lot, but there's a particular style of drumming. Some of them are definitely kind of swing stuff, and then the bass has got a walking bass feel to it. At times in here, you're kind of not really sure if there's any serious chords that he's following whilst he's doing it, but he's just whiffling away on the bass. Then above that, that's where it's more avant-garde, is because the brass then do semi-coordinated things and semi-disconnected things that are harmonically disconnected with what's going on in the rhythm section, but sometimes in the same kind of rhythm, but not always. The other thing that I think is more conventional that they do is they do still quite a lot take it in turns to do stuff rather than just all go for it all at once. And some free jazz I've heard is like that. It's just a big mass of everybody playing whatever they feel like at the same time. Again, I'm going to show my ignorance of jazz. There is a type of jazz called hard bop. I think quite a bit of the jazz that I've heard in the past has been in this area of hard bop, and this is a bit like that, I think, but with the screws falling out and it's kind of slightly falling apart, so it's more free than that. And so I understand it's a fairly important album. Actually, all the albums on this list are potentially quite important albums. I would say they have to be on this list. However, coming to this as a non-jazz enthusiast, how do I feel about it as an album? Just as something to listen to. And my feeling is, meh, it's okay. I wasn't particularly drawn into it. It's maybe a little on the kind of more avant-garde end of things than I feel totally like I actually enjoy in jazz. It doesn't, I don't object to it, but I don't particularly seek it out either. So it's all right, is my feeling. I'd love to know what you think, especially if you're a jazz enthusiast and you want to tell me all the ways in which this is an amazing album. I'd love to hear from you. Or, if you're coming to it fresh like me and you got a completely fresh new feel of, your response to it, I'd love to know that as well. So please do talk to me through the comments box. That's it from me for now.